Yeah. Right. So just a quick follow-up clarification. So like, I guess, are you saying the base essay should be sort of like a broad sort of like exploration of, as you said, the problem, the consequences, and then the resolution. And
Mhm.
then what you're doing by adapting it is by like sort of framing that sort of progression of the story and the form and whatever into those specific keywords and sort of making the specific sort of broader and sort of like, I guess, extrapolating like a key term like fate into sort of that broader framework you've prepared in your base essay. Is that right?
That's right. But make sure the only thing I'd add there is the base essay still has a draft question, but choose a question that most plays into either like what your teacher is suggesting or what feels most comfortable to you. Like, what's the core thing you want to argue in your essay? Because the
Yeah.
odds are you'll still be able to argue a lot of that if you place it within that problem, consequence, resolution framework. That problem resolution, that works for any question,
Yeah.
right? There's no
Yeah.
question that doesn't work for. Even if you got asked a question on a particular character, or characters, you still place it within that framework, right?
Yeah.
So that
And you just yeah.
framework transcends the question. It doesn't matter what the question is. But when you prepare your draft, you should focus on a question so that you're at least focused in on certain key terms. And then you'll know the spots that'll help you with other questions. So it's important that in your draft, you do have a draft question. But by all means, if it helps to have a broader one and you feel more comfortable with that, then do that.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Cool, no worries. But yeah, for anyone else who's doing a draft question, try and avoid doing a generic. I'm not saying do a generic. I'm saying have a specific question, but you can certainly use a broader type of draft question, but make sure there are at least one or two key terms that you are focusing on in that essay, but it can all fill into that more generic framework, which I think is adaptable. I came up with that framework because it's adaptable to any question. I've never seen a question where that framework couldn't work. So that's why I think if you can use it, it's going to work as long as you practice adapting. Because often it's not like that. People say, oh, I couldn't adapt it to that particular question. It's like, yeah, you couldn't, but that's not because the question was too hard. It's because you probably just weren't well versed enough in making those connections, in rewording things, in rephrasing. That's a skill. Okay. It's not the question's fault and it's not your draft's fault. It's the inability to make the connections and to reword, which does take practice, which is why I'd focus on introductions and topic sentences rather than doing full essays all the time when you're practicing, because you can do a lot more practice that way.